I was hired to teach criminology, and in that criminology course, the thing that I noticed is that out of a 600-page text, there was 1 page about women. What's wrong with that picture? And in my previous research, I researched women who were escort service people, sex workers. I researched victimization, rape, crisis centers, that kind of thing. And so I thought, I need to do something about this. And so I developed a new course. It's called Women in Crime. And in that course, we found that many students were confessing, testifying about the kinds of crimes that they had experienced themselves. And so my great idea is that I'm all about dedicating my life to including the voices of women and exposing trauma, and what better way to do it than through public art? I'm waiting. So I'm Tanice Foltz. I've taught at IU Northwest for over 30 years now, and I've been the director of Women's and Gender Studies for 15 years. And as you know, I taught criminology and delinquency and developed this Women in Crime course. And as a result, I found that so many of our students have made these confessions and testimonials, and it really blew my mind. I actually created an unscientific survey so that my students could answer questions like, have you ever been raped? Have you ever been battered? Have you ever experienced molestation? Those kinds of things. And overwhelmingly, the percentage was just so overwhelming, I couldn't believe it. But the real turning point for me came in the spring of 2013 when I was on sabbatical. And as director of Women's and Gender Studies, I decided to go back to the university to hear our conference speakers. We put on a Women's and Gender Studies conference every spring, and at that conference, I listened to paper after paper of these outstanding student presentations that were related to gender issues. And over 2/3 of them focused on personal victimization. And that was just it. That was my turning point. I said, that's it. Okay, I've got to do something when I return to campus. So right away, I began looking for funding to fund something that we call the Clothesline Project. And the Clothesline Project, you can see, this is what it looks like. It is a bunch of t-shirts hung up on a clothesline. But these are not just any t-shirts. These are t-shirts that our students are making for us. Okay, so the Clothesline Project actually stemmed from a group of women back in 1990 who wanted to create a visible, attractive, and stunning exhibit that showed women's trauma and abuse. And so what they did is they borrowed from the HIV/AIDS quilt project that was going on back in the late 1980s, where people created patchworks of quilts, and they were sewn all together and displayed in a beautiful way at the mall in Washington, D.C. And so this is what these women wanted to do, who were formulating the Clothesline Project. They said, we don't want to just be a talking head. We just don't want to talk about this. We want to create a stunning, piece of public art that people are involved in, and it's got to represent women's work. So the clothesline, obviously, for many years, women were seen as the ones who did the wash and hung their clothes out to dry on a clothesline. And the idea was, well, maybe when they were hanging their clothing out to dry, maybe the neighbor lady came out and they would begin to talk with them about things they would not normally talk about in public. In other words, taboo subjects came up between them. And thus came the idea of hanging out one's dirty laundry, right? And so this is what we ask our students to do. And so these are just some examples of the dirty laundry. These bruises will last a lifetime. Okay. And so we invite our students every single fall. Now, we've been doing this since 2013 through recently, and the only year we have missed was 2020 due to COVID. But we put out a little flyer like this, and we invite our students to speak out against violence. Come and speak out against violence. And we put our several long tables out in a very high traffic area. And we brought lots of t-shirts with vibrant colors, as you can see, red and blue and green and orange and purple and black and white. And each one of these t-shirts represents a different kind of violence. So I got funding so that we could buy all kinds of art supplies, such as sparkles and glitters and pom-poms and fabric paints and all kinds of things. And we invite students to speak out against violence. And some will pass through because they're on their way to class, but others will stop and really think about what they're going to do. And they make these t-shirts. And so what they're really doing here is they're putting their own trauma out in the form of a t-shirt. And why t-shirts, you might ask? Well, t-shirts are comfortable, right? When I go home tonight, I'm going to put on a t-shirt. That's what I sleep in, right? But they're comfortable. They make your body feel good. They break down your defenses. They allow you to be who you really are. And besides for that, they allow us to really identify and expose sexual trauma and abuse out there on a t-shirt rather than on our bodies, rather than talking about ourselves. We can say, look at that, right? That's an amazing t-shirt, right? So that's why we use t-shirts. And the goals of the Clothesline Project are four. First of all, to bear witness to survivors. It's a wonderful way to bear witness to survivors. And to assist in their healing process, and this is something I found through all the years by not only the graphics, the graphic representations that are on the t-shirts, but also by the comments that students leave on the comment cards about what the process of making a t-shirt did for them, what it meant for them. By educating others about the extent of violence against women, which is so incredibly important. And I've seen that too in my students who say, oh my God, I had no idea that there was so much of this going on. And then a student next to me might have experienced some of these horrible violations. By the way, we have at least 100 shirts are made every single year. And the last thing is to provide a supportive network for those who are victimized. And that has become very, very true. And here you see some t-shirt making going on in the Women's Center. So the first few days we are in a very high traffic area to attract attention and let the students know that we're here and we have these shirts, we have this cool art supplies, but we're gonna go up to the Women's Center after a couple of days. Will they have more privacy? This is actually a picture of the very last day of the project, so students were kind of cramming in. They all wanted to get in and make a t-shirt before that part of the project ended. The next part, however, is the installation of the exhibit. So here you can see, that might be me. No, these are my students. So I recruit students to help install the project, and they're very happy to do so. Most of them have participated in the project. Many of them have made t-shirts themselves. And as you can see, it's a really quite beautiful project. This is another of my students helping me, since I'm not so great on ladders anymore. So, public art is transformative. So, for those who view the exhibit, it's really important because it raises awareness. It just shows how much, rape and sexual assault and battering and violence against LGBTQ people. All these kinds of things are represented by the different colors of the t-shirts. It also sensitizes students to the fact that their fellow students may have gone through these issues. And for the t-shirt makers themselves, it is such a connecting kind of a thing for them. And yet, they remain anonymous. Their names are not on the shirts. They're not putting a personal name on the shirt, but they're putting out their trauma and their abuse for all to see, and they're going to be connected with all of these other shirts through the exhibit itself. So it shows a vast degree of support from other people, because some people make shirts in honor of somebody they know who has gone through some sort of a violation, and they just want to speak out on their behalf and in support of them. And so I have a variety of comments up here, but I won't read it all. But just the very last piece, it's very moving to see so much support from the other t-shirts. This is just one of the t-shirts that was made about rape and sexual assault. So red, pink, and orange shirts stand for rape and sexual assault. There's never a good reason, right? Forget your excuse. So public art is extremely transformative, and it's a catalyst for healing. Testifying is absolutely integral to the healing process. Speaking one's truth to power is absolutely essential to beginning one's healing journey. Art allows people to talk about their stories without talking about themselves. They can say, see, look at that shirt, right? It says, like a picture is worth 1,000 words, truly is. So they can discuss their artwork rather than what really happened to them. And they can do this by representing what happened to them very graphically on these t-shirts. And this is, I've been coding these t-shirts over the years. I have about 700 photographs of t-shirts that have been made, as well as comments from the students who have made them. And one of the themes is rage and outrage, as you can see. Do you feel like a man when you push her around? Do you feel better as she falls to the ground? And this one, the purple, stands for people who are violated due to their gender identity. And this one says, let all love live, we are all human. This stands for childhood sexual abuse. The blue and the green t-shirts represent childhood sexual abuse. And this person, I don't know if this person was a victim herself, himself, whoever, themselves, or if they were speaking out for somebody else, help a friend. And this was about empowerment. Red is rape and sexual assault. I'm a survivor, a fighter, a thriver. And on the other side, this person says, I'm gonna make it. So clearly they are in charge of their lives now. And this was about release. I have been set free. I'm not a victim, but a victor. And this is representing childhood sexual abuse. And they've written faith and God is good and I'm strong and powerful and life is good on the sleeves of the shirt. So there are many, many testimonials, and I am not going to read these, but I put them up so that you could see them. The one thing I do want to say is in the middle here, it says, it has opened doors and allowed the healing for many. And then the person talks about hiding the shame. When you hide it, you give it power. And so this is really important that people are speaking out. Connection is so important too, and this person talks about walking into the area where we show the t-shirts, and this person says, I felt like I was not alone, and in fact it felt like a connection, a bond, a sisterhood. So this person had gone through a sexual assault experience and felt very connected to other people. Support is another major theme here, and again you can see this person is looking at, this person is seeing the whole thing as very, very therapeutic, and this person was inspired to use their voice to help other victims and to educate people. And that's exactly, what the goal of the project is supposed to do. So the Clothesline Project as public art, and I feel it's a very healing kind of public art. It creates a very safe space for students to express their feelings. It's a place to connect with others who have experienced similar kinds of things, a space to raise awareness, and a place to engage in social activism, because they're absolutely engaged in doing this. They're participating on their own free will. And by the way, I just want to say that I've had students come up to me and say, I'm so glad that this is being offered again this year, because last year I wasn't quite ready yet. I wasn't ready to put it out there. But this year, I'm ready. I'm ready. And that makes me feel like we need to keep on offering this to our students. So how can we garner the courage to expose the trauma, to confront the hurt, and to help folks begin the healing process? Well, first of all, it's not coming up. We need to raise awareness. We need to raise awareness. And how do we do that? We can do it through projects like this, right? TED Talks. We can do it through getting expert speakers to come to our various functions. We can have spiritual ceremonies. We can have film discussions and book discussions about these issues. And most of all, we can have political art. Public art, right? It's political too, right? Everything's political. But public art, such as the Clothesline Project, which, by the way, I would love to see right here at the Gardner Center in the future. Hint, hint, right? So, overcome, don't let one action change you. These are just some t-shirts. Love is hugs, not slugs. Power comes with education and empathy. Yeah. And this was about rage and theme. Don't be afraid to speak out and say no. Okay, the second thing that we can do is we need to provide resources. Resources are so important. We need professionals. We need people who are counseling professionals to provide community services for our young people and people who are our age too, who maybe have never ever talked about these things, right? We want victims to be able to retake control of their lives and not only become survivors, but be able to thrive. It will help us all as a community, right? We know the vast extent of sexual abuse and battering. The statistics are 1 in 4 college-age women will have experienced rape or attempted rape by the time they graduate. And 29% of college women say that they have been in battering relationships at some point in time. That's pretty amazing. So these are some of the sexual abuse t-shirts. You know, only the weak take advantage of children who are defenseless. You know, she is a warrior, not a victim. And I actually can't read that one over there. So we need support groups for the deep sense of understanding and bonding that comes with a group of people who are survivors, who truly, deeply understand what this experience is, and they need each other. It inspires a sense of connection with others, and it reduces feeling of alienation and isolation. And most of all, perhaps, it reaffirms that the abuse was not their fault, which is so incredibly important. And we need these kind of groups to help people like this, okay? I was abused, and then I became the abuser. Everyone's free but me. This person needs help, right? Really needs help. And actually, one of those t-shirts basically said something like, I don't know who's more cruel, you for using me or me for letting you. Okay? Clearly this person needs the help of a support group, of some counseling and a support group. They didn't let it happen. They were trapped in a relationship where it happened. The Clothesline Project has shown that public art has the power to transform people, to expose the drama and the trauma, to catalyze the healing process. Let's air out our dirty laundry. Okay, let's bring our secrets out into the open through public art, where our stories become a collective healing for all of us. Let's eliminate the shame. Let's find connection and support in others. Let's do that right here in Gary. I'm ready. Are you?